Why do I like pre-painted minis? GameMasters here, and my videos as of late have been featuring miniatures from Wizkids. Years upon years ago, I used to paint my own. I used to be able to get the mini right up to my eye to see the finer details. And I mean painting actual whites of eyes, as well as pupils. I mean deep dish detail. My relationship with Wizkids goes all the way back to GameMasters brick and mortar days when we had a game store, back when they were just starting out and had produced a game called Mage Knight, which was a take on kind of Magic the Gathering, not in the sense of how you played Magic the Gathering, but in a sense that it was a collectible card game. But this was miniatures on little clicky bases. But there were commons, uncommons, and rares that one could find inside blister boxes, and they were pre-painted, which many found to be really cool because for the price, and keep in mind back then we were buying raw pewter minis from Ralpartha that had to be primed then painted, but because Mage Knight was of a fantasy theme, they fit very well with Dungeons and Dragons games. So we'd sometimes rip them off their little clicky base, glue them onto a standard mini base, and just let that be that. Because sometimes, honestly, painting a miniature can take hours, sometimes days. And while the actual painting of a miniature was very relaxing, we just wanted to play some D&D with some kind of cool painted up minis. Not everyone was a Rembrandt with their painting skills. I certainly wasn't. And what we could pull out of the Mage Knight blister box was decent enough for our gaming. Over the years, WizKids produced other games, but the concept was always the same. Miniatures that were pre-painted. Over the years, my eyes began to not be able to see as close up as they used to. About 5 years ago, I was diagnosed with cataracts, of which there are 4 stages. I was found that at that time, 4 years ago, to be at stage 0.5. And that doesn't sound too bad. I mean, the severity of the stages is this. At stage 1, things are slightly blurry. Stage 2, things become more blurry, especially in low light situations. Stage 3, and you've got difficulty driving at night. And stage 4 is when the eyes turn yellow and cloudy. I also have a bad stigmatism, and even though just 5 years ago I was at 0.5, where things were just a little blurry for me, I'm kind of now on the cusp of stage 3. Lights at night when driving are more like looking at blurry stars. And I say driving at night. I don't do that anymore. I ride shotgun because I really just can't see well enough. Yeah, I've considered surgery, but the cost is somewhere in the neighborhood of about $4,000 to $6,000 per eye. During the daytime, I can see just fine. Not up close. Everything is blurry as hell. And for me to read anything or see anything clearly, I have to hold it at least 2 feet away from me. And that also plays into me even reading books. And my eyes have a very difficult time adjusting focus from even 2 feet away to 5 feet away. It takes a moment for that motion blur to become clear. So when I shift from looking, for example, at my phone, which is, here, to my television, which is about 12 feet away, it takes a moment for my eyes to focus, which is all to say my eyes kind of suck. That all said, that's one of the main appeals that I have with these WizKids minis. They come in pre-painted, and while a box of them may seem a bit touch on the expensive side, for example, it's $20 for this box, but you get 4 figures inside, and that breaks down to about $5 a piece, excluding tax and all. But even back in the day, Ralpartha minis were at about that price, and Warhammer minis, 4, sometimes 6 times that. But with my eyes the way they are, I really like the pre-painted minis because, well, I can appreciate that it's not just a flat gray miniature when we're pushing them around on the table. I'd also like to take a moment to give my mighty thanks to my channel supporters. Their contributions have certainly helped this channel to grow in multiple ways, and I really cannot thank them enough. If you would like to see how you too could become a Patreon or YouTube member, I'll leave a link down in the description, and of course I'll add your name to this ever-growing list. While a lot of what we do when playing D&D, or any role-playing game for that matter, is theater of the mind, I'm not going to have, how do I want to say this? I'm not going to have minis set up for every instance of play. We won't break out the terrain when navigating through twisting tunnels of the water-deep sewers. We won't break them out when trekking through the wilderness. But we will make use of them during a large epic battle, because even though theater of the mind is beyond wicked cool, the visual of the battle when using miniatures can be as equally wicked cool, and made even more so when there's a decent splash of color on the table. All of this is simply to explain why I can appreciate the product that Wizkids produces. I'm certainly not saying that that painting your own miniatures is wrong. If you have the capability to do so, I am 100% behind you in doing that. Hell, I've seen some painted minis being professionally done and painted up where even just one figure can go for over $100. I was never that good at painting, but wow, those can, that kind of a paint job can garner a really good payday. And my hat is off to anybody that has that kind of skill and mad talent. For me, however, I'm going to stick with these pre-painted minis. Wizkids has been kind enough to send me review samples, and as long as they continue to do so, I'll continue to show you them off to you guys. And of course, I'll use them at my table with my players. About the only issue that I really have is that occasionally a mini will have broken away from its base, either in transit or while trying to remove it from the tight, clear plastic that it's been housed in. But honestly, that's kind of an easy enough fix with just a small spot of super glue. And of course, should one be so inclined, it's also easy enough to touch these Wizkids minis up with your own paint and brushes to a color scheme that better suits you. I really do like miniatures. One of these days, I kind of need to sit down and build a nice big diorama scene for some of them. I love photography and I love videography, just doing random things, taking random pictures and random videos. But making terrain is something that I can still do. It's big and blocky enough that I can still see it fairly well. But that'll be for another video. So be sure to subscribe so you don't miss it. Let's have a good chat down in the comments. What are some reasons that you like pre-painted minis? Or opposite to that, what are some reasons that you don't? As mentioned, I know that a lot of you get enjoyment out of painting your own. And listen, as I said earlier, I'm always going to encourage that if it brings you joy. Again, talk to me down in the comments, and until next our paths cross, may you brush with greatness.